Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gal Pals podcast, where we talk about books and writing.
Hi, everybody. Gigi here, just coming in with a little FYI to tell you something crazy that happened during this episode. While we have these wonderfully fancy mics, we unfortunately did not properly format our SD card. That basically means that we lost the audio. However, we are incredibly lucky that we did record the podcast via camera. And so what you're going to hear in this episode is cleaned audio. The audio, I think, actually sounds pretty good, but we did have to do some extensive editing, and so there might be little portions of this episode that are cut out. That is all to say that please bear with us as we work through our growing pains and come back better than ever next week with the most gorgeous audio you have ever heard. This episode is full of a really candid conversation about our own writing and also books we're reading, and so I hope you enjoy it for what it is. Anyways, back to it.
What was the last line you wrote today? Or yesterday, or whenever you picked up a laptop
or a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I have mine ready because when you texted us this earlier, I was like, I haven't actually written a word in weeks. And the last words I wrote were the end of my book. So are we getting a line? The last line of the first draft. So it probably will be there. Second draft. I'll say this. It only exists right now. And it is, he holds it up to me, but all I see is him as he says, I thought you'd never ask. That should stay.
Did we get any more context?
No. It's a cute it's a proposal. Yeah, it's the epilogue, so literally the last line. Very exciting.
How many years later in the epilogue are we looking?
So I'm thinking like 1 year after.
That's a good.
Yes. Yeah, not too long, but not like 2 months later.
I mean, I got engaged after a year, so I think it's sort of perfect. Yeah, personally. Yes, I'm engaged. Thank you to everybody that's wondering. Okay, I have mine ready, obviously. Okay. Strike without mercy.
Is that the end of something? Or no, this happens to be the last line you wrote?
So it's a flashback. Somebody is giving somebody some advice before they leave and basically abandon that person. And so those are their parting words, are to strike without mercy.
All right, anybody else? I have no idea. To be honest, I completely forgot to look.
I don't know. Shoot, I read your submission today, and there was a line that I highlighted that I was like, this is a really good line. Should I pull it out?
Thank you. I saw that you commented. I can't wait to read your comments because you're so good at that.
I had a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was actually, spoiler alert, I was watching Bridgerton while I was reading it.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm just going to dedicate my full attention to this episode. And then I was like, no, I have to read Michelle's submission. For our listeners who aren't aware, we are part of a Write Share, which is a writing community in Greenville. And Michelle and I happen to be in the same workshop group. And our workshop group submit our pieces to one another, our works in progress. So I had the privilege of reading a chapter from Michelle's work in progress is the word for that. And Lily, why don't you go while I pull out this little submission here?
Oh my God, it's just going to be a Debbie Downer. But the last sentence I wrote was, I watched my grandfather take his last breath. Sorry.
Why couldn't you just pick something?
It is the last thing. That's what I'm working on is just that's today or yesterday. Or no, that was the last time I wrote with you guys. Yeah, I just looked it up though before we started because I hadn't looked at it in a couple of weeks.
And just for whoever's listening, you typically write nonfiction essays. So, or I don't know if essays the right word.
Yeah, essays the right word.
So what is this? Is this about your grandfather?
It is, but so I'm working on a bunch of different essays that have the central theme, I guess, is love, but the different types of love that you can have and what love looks like to different people. And some of like the stuff that you guys read for when I was in Right Share with you guys, that kind of plays into it too, because I've just been thinking about like the ways my family have shown love in different ways and whether or not you would categorize it as love. Or as if I would categorize it as love, or what I would assume I would want to be loved like, I guess, or if that makes sense. Yeah. Anyways, the piece though about my grandfather is not as dark and depressing as that, although it does kind of central around his death, but it's about oranges and how we, like my family in general, express our love through citrus.
That's so cute.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, you're bringing up a fun question I have for the audience. After we conclude this heartfelt segment, I'm just there. I'm so sorry. I don't have emotions, I think. But that was really beautiful.
Thank you. And I know I can't wait to read.
I'm
not as dark and depressing, although like there's like this theme of like destroying oranges. Like, you know, when you like actually pierce them and they kind of get like, it's a messy act. It will get a little bit gross about his actual death, but that's not the whole point of it. It is just like, yeah, you guys will read it.
Yes, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I had the latter half of this sentence I thought was really beautiful. Not only did Louisa no longer have a dowry, big or small, to offer a suitor, but she no longer had room in her heart to trust another.
Thank you, Gigi. I really like Gosh, and I never read like a full chapter of yours. I want to read all of your stuff. So Louisa is a past life, but she doesn't know it yet. So this is a dream segment for I guess we should probably explain what this is. But for Nora, it's the first time that she kind of falls asleep and dreams of past life. She just doesn't know that that's what she's dreaming of, and so that's what Louisa is. That's what Kiki's bread. So yeah, thank you so much. And I wait to read your stuff. I honestly, sorry, just to comment on this, was shocked, but Lindsay let us be at the same shirt. I thought for sure she would break us up.
But I wondered if like she knew our relationship would help like support one another and we'd be really honest with each other.
That's true. That's actually a really good point. That's a good way to look at that.
Lindsay's a girl.
She read that even. So I'm curious, talking about love and heart, before we move into the main segment of the podcast, which we will, if you had to give your main character, and Lily in this case you, if you had to, what is their love language? There's 5 love languages. There's the gift of giving, there's quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical touch that she consults.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe, so I have 2 main characters, Celeste, who is a guardian angel, and I have Nora, who is the woman who's seeing her past lives. Nora is a mess. So I almost feel like, one came to me as you were talking. So Nora's, I think, would be words of affirmation. I think she needs to hear some things, even if she doesn't realize she needs to hear them. And I think Celeste would be quality time.
Okay. So, I think Coda, she's a 21-year-old scrappy woman who cares a lot about her family, would be acts of service, because she would do almost anything to keep them safe.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my main character, Sadie, would be the same. Which hers is like she goes too far, so that's her character arc, is maybe a little less service of other people, but yeah, more for herself kind of thing. Yes.
It feels unfair. It does. Quality time. I just like hanging out with people, you know? No, we're doing that right now. It feels in my soul. I don't even have to be talking with anyone as long as I'm just like with them.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, we are going to be super personal, I love my alone time. I could be alone forever.
Me too.
But that's probably my love language too. And it's just really the intentional time of spending with somebody, I think, is what it is. You know,
yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be, whatever. But just that intentional time of you actually are choosing me to sit with, I think that's what it is.
Yeah. It's either that or acts of service. It's more action than anything else, I think. Yeah. So even if it's just like a quiet night with someone that I like hanging out with, that's like cool.
Yeah. That.
Mine is I think mine used to be gift giving because I love like baking for people. But I think mine has changed to words of affirmation because I love hyping people up. Saying how words can so deeply affect people. Like, I teach yoga, and so, I can physically move people's bodies just by speaking. And so I've really come to love the act of showing people appreciation for them just through simple kindness. Love that. Yeah.
Casey, would you like to share words? I think mine would also be, I feel like I'm just copying all your answers, words of affirmation. And I don't think it used to be, but maybe it's from writing more. Words just have so much power.
Yeah.
Like saying them to others or hearing them. Like I can remember things that people have said to me that stick with me, like just word for word. So definitely words of affirmation. Awesome.
So our main topic of the pod today is what we struggle with most in writing, and then perhaps we can, help each other come up with solutions or band-aids for the problems. So who wants to start?
Mine is, well, we all have full-time jobs, right? Or multiple jobs. So writing is really fun, but it's not the full-time gig. So we can't dedicate like exactly. So we can't dedicate like all of our brain space to that. And I really struggle with like you were saying the last time you wrote was when we were together. Yeah, mine was like 3 times ago when we wrote together. Yes, I've been like outlining and stuff. I really struggle with losing bits and pieces of my story between writing. And I know the best solution would be, well, write every single day so you don't lose things. But that's really hard. That's really hard. So yeah, just feeling like, and then I have like so many sticky notes and index cards and my notes app and Google Docs, like, so that I don't forget this stuff. And then I just sit down and like, where do I even start?
Mine is adjacent to that. Yeah, I texted you guys earlier this week where it was just like inspiration strikes at the most inconvenient time. And it's very similar to the fact that I'll have an idea, but I can't write it down. And so when I get to a place where I can write it down, it might have already escaped me. So I can't even come back to it. And then when I actually sit down to write, I just get stuck with this idea of, well, what do I want to say? What do I want to write? Like, where do I go from there?
Yeah, Notes app is like my best friend. Like, exercise really helps me. So I'll be like on a stair climber. Like, I have the best idea. Notes app. And then I'm a psychopath. I text the notes to myself, and then I copy and paste it like into my manuscript so that I have a starting place for my next to the smart launch off. But like, if I have an idea, the moment I'm near my phone, I capture it because it'll happen when I'm in yoga. And I'm like, as soon as I'm done with my class, I will I'll be driving my car and I'll voice record the note.
Oh, see, when I texted you guys that I had just gotten home from driving, and I was like, well, I can't write this down. I'm driving. And it didn't even occur to me to like voice memo it or voice to text me or anything like that. So yeah, I'll be doing that next.
Yeah. And like, for me, it doesn't even matter how messy the notes are because it'll just jog my memory.
Right. So it's not lost forever.
Yeah.
I pretty much do just that too. But I do have a lot of handwritten stuff, but it's my notes app and just kind of opening up and getting anything down that I can so that I can go back to it later. For sure. I do that a lot.
Yeah. And then, gosh. Okay. So I hear you about getting lost where you're at in the story. I wouldn't say that's what I struggle with. I struggle with something different, and I'll share on it. But, right now I'm at like 2/3 way into my story, and it's just suddenly feels like I need to perform. I was just saying reconstructive surgery on it. Like, I was like, why was I thinking this when I was writing it? This is not the correct direction. And it's frustrating because through my second draft, I felt like I'm sprinting, like, oh, this book just needs some, cleanup. And then all of a sudden I'm like coming to a screeching halt, and I'm like, I have to rewrite this. And it's really frustrating. And so I'm like, okay, I can take this section from this chapter to help inform where this chapter now needs to go. And so I'm like putting some puzzle pieces together, just like shuffling around, you know, like timelines. But I'm annoyed because now I'm not making as much forward progress as I would like. Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of spiraled.
Yeah.
But no, then
That's been my struggle with. Yeah, so I'm a pantser more than a planner, right? And that bites me in the ass. And so this has been the first time that I've been able to sit down and actually just write and not go back and edit, and write and not go back and edit. But so much does change when you do that. Like when you do just kind of flow through it, that I've had to go back and do reconstructive surgery a few times. So even though it's technically my first draft, and it is when it comes to the words on the page, but I've reconstructed a lot of it over and over again. So this goes here, I had to add this section here. And so that's been hard because I think that's where I'm at, why I'm still technically on my first, well, not why, I mean, writing time and a lot of things, but, you know, a lot of it has to do with that. I actually did go and literally just wrote, and which is probably what planners do in the first place, but I had to go back and like look through every single chapter and write it down and like what was going on. And that was really helpful because then, as silly as it sounds, I could then go back and go, I need to add here. I need to move this here. And I just physically did it on the paper. And yeah, that was a huge help. I got really, really organized, which is something I should have done from the beginning.
we should do a whole episode on pantsing versus plotting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I absolutely know it's very, very frustrating. And then you do get lost because you're moving things up all around. And it's like, oh, did I fix this here? Not here. It's frustrating. It's hard.
And then I know as writers, you need to kill your darlings, but just like chunking out like 500 words, you're like, I can't physically do this. I can't hit the delete button. Well, especially when we are striving for a number, unfortunately. You should do exactly. You should do that, but if it literally does feel like you are losing progress, and it shouldn't be that way, but it does. Yeah. My biggest struggle, I think, is so I wake up early so I can get like probably half an hour of writing in, and I will sit there, open my laptop, have time for it, and then just stare and be like, I'm gonna open my inbox, I'm gonna open XYZ, I'm gonna blah blah blah. I will find 1,000 things to browse on the internet, even though I've given myself dedicated time. And then I'm like, oh my god, I have 15 minutes left, and I'll usually crank out a word or two, but like, hello, you could have had double this time had you not done stupid stuff. And like, they make a software.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it's called.
Well, so I don't know if it's the same thing you're talking about, but there's also don't know how expensive it is.
There was a free one.
Okay.
But you go.
So there's like this physical thing that you can get. It's a keyboard.
Math is crazy. My husband had bought me one. But yeah, he got me one of those like the first year that I started writing because he like found it. And it's like just this little square of where you can see your text. You can't go like pages back so you can see it. So it keeps you from like editing. It connects to your Google Docs. So it automatically uploads. You don't have to be connected to the internet. It connects like later. It is. And if anyone wants to try it out, you are more than welcome to borrow it.
Because I think it just literally is the only thing that you can do is write. So there is taking away that. I mean, I get it. It's probably very extensive. So I'm sure there is a software that's easier. But knowing me, I would just turn off the software.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Because this one, you set a time. So it's like 5 minutes, and it'll that's cool. It'll open a sheet that's full screen, and like you can't exit out of the sheet for the amount of time you set.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure it's easy Google, but I feel like having that extra distance from the technology would help them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I have a similar-ish issue is that I will open up what I've already written and then reread it and then edit it. And then I'll save 5 minutes for new content. And I'm like, and that got me where exactly? I'm editing something that's incomplete and I'm wasting time not putting out the new thoughts on the paper So just maybe even having that, like, where it's just a blank sheet and there's nothing to look back on is very helpful. I don't know. But I'll sit there when we're all writing together. And if you see me, like, scrolling, I'm not doing anything helpful for myself. I am rereading stuff I've already written for an incomplete essay.
Mm-hmm. That's my biggest. Yeah. I've gotten better at it, but I know I still do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ideas just aren't there either. Like, I've got like I said, this kind of like what could take a shot every time I just said, like, this collection-ish of essays that I'm working on, and they're all unfinished, and I just will jump from one to the other because I'm just hoping that what I want will come to me, because I think I'm also a pantser and not a planner, because I'm thinking, oh, I don't have anything as long as you guys do. Like, mine are sometimes half a page. I'm like, I don't need to plan. Sometimes they're 100 words. Sometimes they're like 1,000 words. Sometimes they're 6 pages, you know? And I don't know if, like, the next time we all get together, I need to not even remotely try to write, but just paper plan it. Yeah. And see, because I will literally jump from essay to essay to essay and know what I want to say, but just not know how to say it. And then I'll just go to the next one because I'm like, well, maybe it'll come to me on this one. And it never does.
Do you ever have the thought to write a book, to write a nonfiction book?
Yeah, it would be a collection of essays, though, because that's just my preference. I don't think I can do, like, super, like, I can't do, like, a narrative structure. That's not anything that I could do. So doing, like, a full memoir where it's, like, from start to finish. She had something to say.
Have you ever thought about writing smut? By the way, Lilly owns the Smut Wagon Swoon Booksellers. It's a romance-only bookmobile in Greenville, SC. Visit www.swoonbooksellers.com. Thank you. Have you ever writing smut?
No, I haven't. Honestly, like, I keep it separate. It is really like an escape for me. I couldn't even remote. This is going to be so depressing. It's like I'm literally in therapy. I could not write a happy story. I'm convinced I couldn't. So again, I'm convinced I'm going to go right to, yes, that's her name. In January. You're the Gusta January. Yeah. I like, there are people that can do it. There are the Caseys, and there are everyone else out there that can write, like, romance and, like, so, like, make it believable. I couldn't do it. I tried in my undergrad program, and it was just like, once I switched over to nonfiction, the same professor that I had was like, yeah, don't go back. This is good. And I was like, so what you're saying is the other stuff was And you know what? I'll take his word for it. He's a very successful author, so
It's okay to play to your strengths.
yeah.
Actually, you should also, literally only saying this because of the podcast that I was listening to on the way here. And they were talking about the fact that you'll never get better at something, or you'll grow in the path that, like, you're good at, great, but you're never going to really expand yourself if you don't work on the things that you're not great at, which is really hard, right? That's everybody's discomfort. And then you're turning in things you know you're not good at, but it's a good thing. Not the same you have to.
By any means. I don't know. I think it would be great to be like, because I think there are a lot of good, emotionally deep romance books out there. Yeah, like, they're not all. I think the ones that, like, I connect to the most are, like, probably the Emily Henry ones and the Abby Jimenez. Yeah. Just because of the fact that they are able to display that emotional depth, but that happily ever after is just not something that I've ever done convincingly. So I'll stick with the updates for now, and we'll see if I'm able to get anything published, and then maybe I'll cross that bridge.
We should, like, for one episode, challenge each of us. So, like, we'll put, like, a genre jar. We pull a genre out of the jar and each have to write a scene. Yes, we're all working on a work in progress, but sometimes, like, we're doing this for fun. And so sometimes if you're pushing so hard, it just doesn't become fun. That's true. I feel like that would be a repo.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had 2 episodes coming up with that. Very exciting.
What's everybody reading this week?
The Night Circus. Oh, I started it.
I'm ashamed to say I'm only on my 3rd book of the month, and I usually read like 5 or 6. I just had a hard, overly ambitious month, let's say that. And so I was halfway through Lady Macbeth when Onyx Storm came out. But I have to finish by the 31st because, come on, man, 3 books and it's January. You're supposed to read like 20 books in January.
You're not supposed to do anything. January is the worst month of the year.
What are y'all reading?
I just finished Not in My Book yesterday for book club tonight. So this has been like circling in my brain since then, which is weird because it was definitely one of those romances that was like surface level, like we're not getting too deep. But like their love story was so cute. I loved the middle of it. I don't know why I didn't like the ends. Like their little like breakup conflict, whatever. It just like bothered me. It just felt like they were pretty mature characters. And then the breakup was like, guys, give it 5 more seconds.
Yeah.
Like literally that is a little more deep. Yeah. And so that just bothered me so much because the rest was so cute. So the premise is like they're both writers in a grad program. And they like the guy writes lit fic and the girl writes romance. It's like the prequel to Betrayed, pretty much. And so he's like always mean to her and critiques about romance because it's dumb, whatever. And so the teacher is like, okay, you guys have to stop like being so mean to each other. So you have to write a book together.
So for those that don't know, we follow each other on Goodreads, and Lilly reads books like she's eating M&Ms. You blink and she's already read a book, and I'm like, how? Yeah.
Honestly, it's the only way I can get my brain to like quiet down from like the chaos of all the jobs. I thought you were gonna get mad at me for my review.
Oh,
I just tell y'all's exchange. Okay, wait, because I had when you said, I don't think I can even really talk about the book because I don't remember correctly.
Tell our listeners what it was. It's the Lila Sage that doesn't dusted.
She rated the second and third. I've rated all of them 2 stars. And I literally don't think I can be friends. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the arc it said you have to wait to like post your like reviews for the 4th book until it gets closer. So I haven't like reviewed that. I did read it. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. I think her books are too short for the emotional depth she tries to introduce. That's the best part about her books. But ever they're short. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if a short book is done well, it's done well. Great. I'll tell you the book that I did read because I needed like to actually consume something of substance. So I reread a good tea romance. It's The Soulmate Equation by Steven and Lauren. I reread it. So I just finished rereading that and it's still good. But I am debating where to go next. Okay, so maybe you guys can actually help me right now. Akatar? No. Okay, give us a mood. Okay, so I actually have I think I'm gonna go towards romantasy. Okay, I'm a little bit intrigued in what you've said, but I have a break before my next review for an arc is due, so I have a month or 2 where I can read just solely what's on my TBR. I have 2 options physically that I can currently you can start reading tonight. So my 2 options that I can start reading tonight are One Dark Window. Oh, it's so good. Or oh my god, it's like the Fast and Furious but books from Blood and Ash.
Oh my gosh, don't read that book.
I was going to recommend The Heartless Hunter.
Yes, because it's supposed to come out. That would be fun. I will say, it was it was not horror, because I don't read horror, but it was horror-esque. It was very gothic and kind of darker. So it's not sweet. I think I just didn't connect with the characters, okay? Yeah. Do you want a magic system was so cool. That was cool. I mean, it was well done. It was well written. Maybe the characters weren't the most deep.
Yeah, but I'm also willing to take recommendations of other books, but I just heard so many great things about One Dark Window, and I just have had From Blood and Ash on my bookshelf for over a year.
Listen, if we want to read From Blood and Ash, and if anyone actually loved it, I think you would have to be kicked out of the group.
So we're going to do the Night Circus.
Yeah. That's next week if you want to read with us, listeners. Doing the next book we read
Can be From Blood and Ash.
Let's go into it critiquing.
It's kind of fun, make it a writing.
Yeah, writing and sis. Yeah. I don't think we have to do that for the Night Surface because I think that's...
That one, we'll talk about plot and things. Yeah, that
that gives me one book to determine if I'm going to read the next 67 of theirs. And I swear, I'm telling you, it's like the Fast and Furious titles. It's like 2 Blood, 2 Out.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Blood Tokyo Drift. Like, is literally like Van Diesel up in. And I think the final one is like coming out. Like, it's not done. And they're also made it to a new TV show.
I'll watch it, but I'll hate it. I mean,
I hate watch. Wait, should you not tell me anything? Why did you guys hate it?
Well, it's just garbage.
Yeah.
okay, the first one is halfway decent, I thought. The first one,
interesting.
yeah. The second one is a lot worse. The third one is straight garbage. The fourth one, I am sad that I wasted my life.
Because it's kind of like when a TV show like has outlet, like it's like, why are you on season 6? You have 5 great seasons. Kind of saying, yeah.
Okay, but I'm not reading anything right now because I just finished.
Okay, what mood are you at? I read literally. Okay, I have to read whatever Lilly wants.
Well, I read everything, so they come out in a couple of days. But are you talking about First Time Caller?
No, not yet.
Okay, because I am dying to read that one.
I'm dying for other people to read it.
I think I'm about to read, and Gigi, I know you've read this, When the Moon Hatched.
Oh.
So I own it.
I was thinking about that. Like, you should read that.
Yes, I have it. My friend sent it. We do like a book swap every month, and she sent it to me for January. But obviously, Onyx Store, you have to come first.
I am desperate to know your thoughts.
I mean, I had that on my TBR too. I gave it a C+. B-. There's the new Allie Hazelwood book that's coming out. I am very excited about that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of good. I've pre-ordered that Emily Henry book that's coming out.
You're running so many.
Did you see there's going to be a new book in the Divine Rivals universe?
I did. Okay, and I have conflicting thoughts on Divine Rivals because that's another one that somebody can listen.
So, I'm like, oh, guys, I love. And then this is getting me introduced to more romanticy besides just fourthly.
Yeah. So Divine Rivals I thought was so well written. And then the second one, yeah. Yeah. And to me the plot was like nothing. The writing was beautiful. Yeah.
Oh. All right. Chit chatters. I think we can wrap it. Please join us next week for the Night Circus. And if you are a Greenville local, maybe purchase it from M. Judson Booksellers, the best bookstore that's not.
I could argue that that's romance because IPA is a really romantic book, but I don't have a story. It's a love story.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.